Hello everyone, Andy, Warren, Stuart Watson here at Portman Road. Stu, 0-0, but not a quiet night at the office. How are we summing up this?
Oh, I'm sad that we're going to be sat here talking an awful lot about the match officials, Alan Young, the referee, and one of his assistants. Just going to check, Aaron Farmer. It's a shame when we sit here and talk about referees, isn't it? Top two teams in the division, and all we're going to do is sit here and talk about them because
They've had a nightmare, haven't they?
yeah,
An absolute nightmare.
yeah.
And it's ultimately cost Ipswich Town 2 points in this game.
It has, and it hasn't to a lesser degree. There's three big things that have gone against Ipswich. Let's go through them. John Nolan's shot clearly hits Jacobson's hand early on in the game. At the time, I didn't quite realise how bad that was, but I've seen a still image. His arm's out to his side. It's hit him on the arm. Then we get the goal that wasn't just before half-time, which is ridiculous. Corner half cleared. Garbett teases it back into the box. Chambers glancing header. And then it's their defender. It's Curtis Thompson, their midfielder, gets a head on it. It goes in. It's an own goal, if anything, but they've decided that it's taken a touch off Jackson, that it's offside. But it took an age for them to come to that decision, didn't it?
Everybody was back in the Ipswich half. The Ipswich players were back in the half. Luke Chambers was on the edge of his own box by the time the referee had even started to go over to talk to his linesman. Baffling. Absolutely baffling.
So Paul Lambert says their communications weren't working, the earpieces between referee and linesman. But he then says, so why isn't the linesman flagged?
Furiously flagging.
Yeah, if you can't speak to the referee and you think there's an infringement there and you think it's offside, put your flag up. He doesn't put his flag up. They're virtually ready to kick off again. Chambers has gone through the whole celebration, everything's died down, and then all of a sudden he trots over and you think, what's going on? And he disallows it. We didn't know if he thought that Jackson had a hand on it or
That's
whether
what the
he was
Wycombe
offside.
players were saying, wasn't it? The Wycombe players were furious. Like Atkins Fenway was handball, the defenders were handball. It definitely wasn't a handball.
No.
Baffling.
And then that second half was flat. And did Ipswich do enough to win the game, second half? I think that had a negative impact on everybody's mindset. I think the crowd it affected them, and I think it affected the players as well. They got frustrated. Wycombe were organised, they sat deep, they played direct tonight, as is their want. That is working for them so far in the league. And did Ipswich have enough ideas to break them down? Take the goal that wasn't out of the equation, didn't produce a single shot on target tonight. And then we come to the last incident of the game, and the reason it's a 0-0 is because Wycombe got a penalty in the 87th minute.
We've seen the replay of that as well, and that was a foul outside the box from Luke Chambers. A good, what are we saying, 2 yards, do we think, just outside the box,
Looks
in the
like
D
it.
on the edge of the area. Thankfully, because this would be a very different conversation if this hadn't ended up going this way. Thomas Holy has produced a wonderful,
Hell of a save.
wonderful penalty save, which raised the roof.
Used the full extent of that long wingspan of his diving to his right, up above his head to keep that out. You won't see many better penalty saves than that, will you? But if that had gone in, my word.
Who knows? Who knows what could have happened here tonight if that had... Because Lambert was not a happy man, the players weren't happy. I'm sure you've seen James Norwood on Twitter suggesting that Mr. Young probably shouldn't be refereeing again. That's just the strength of feeling about it all, and imagine that if it had ended in a defeat tonight.
Thing is, Ipswich are in League One now. They've got relegated, and the standard of refereeing has dropped more than we thought it probably would. But that's what happens when you go down a level. These aren't full-time refs anymore. You know, this is the standard of players drops, and so does the standard of officiating. And if Ipswich want that to improve, they've got to get themselves out of this division. And I think, listen, there were heavy injustice against them tonight, but it's 2 points from the last two games at home. Not beaten, but I think we all wanted a little bit more from these last couple of
Yeah,
games.
and we're
didn't
going
we?
off on a little cup break again now, aren't we? The next two games in the cups, first up in the FA Cup, then the EFL Trophy. So it's a little wait until league action again, and it's all kind of stalled, and that's Coventry away. That's another big game. So yeah, it's not quite the free flowing walk that I think some people were beginning to think we might be about to experience here. There's some bumps in the road, as Paul Lambert's always said there will be. We're experiencing them.
Another bump in the road. Kane Vincent-Young is going to be
Yeah.
out for months, we're told now, which is a shock because we thought that was just a small little groin operation, much like James Norwood, and he'd be back. But we're told it's a slightly different injury to that, and it's going to be months out, certainly into the new year. So that's another big blow. There we go.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there.
On we go. We don't need to go and turn it off anymore.
Oh, yeah.
We're pros now. On to the FA Cup at Coventry on Sunday.